Hi, I'm Emil Fowrie, a British Olympic dressage rider. The next thing I'd like to show you is exercises and ways of making sure that our horses are as straight as possible. It's one of the first things in the scale of training, and therefore one of the most important things for a dressage horse is to be absolutely straight with as equal a contact through both sides of the neck to make sure that we can execute our movements in the most balanced and the most harmonious way possible. One of the biggest mistakes that riders make in straightening a horse is to ride a crooked horse straight. Straightness is not something that you ride, it is a way of going, and therefore we have to try and make sure that our way of going of the horses is correct enough to ensure that they can be straight. One of the common mistakes that you see riders do, and I will demonstrate this in a moment, especially in canter, is that they ride the position shoulder 4 in canter and hoping that that is what is going to get the horse straight. That, however, is not the case. That is just a question of riding a crooked horse straight. The most important thing is that we have a supple horse and a horse that is through over his back and technically correct forwards into the acceptance of the bridle, and only then can we expect him to be straight. The exercise I'm going to show you is basically done out of counter-canter. So I will go into counter-canter and I try to make sure that my horse is in what I call more or less a collected working canter. So the frame is somewhat collected. I keep my counter-canter out of the corner on the long side. I ease my hand forward and I encourage a medium canter. And then a transition back to a working canter, and again on the next long side I will go forwards to a medium canter. And it's one of the most easiest and natural ways of getting a horse straight. I'll repeat it down the next side. Of course, all through this, again, rider check, position check, keep my shoulders straight, medium canter, transition back. I also try to make sure that in the counter-canter I think more of the neck as being straight rather than being too much flexed to the outside, and I can see as I'm cantering towards the mirrors, which you can't see, but that my horse was entirely straight. And it's for me one of the easiest and the most natural ways of making a horse straight, because it also makes sure that I ride my horse forward into a contact that is there for support and half halts. And then also I could execute quite a nice big fluent flying change, and then on the long side my horse should now feel much straighter and be a little bit more equal in the balance of the contact. It is an exercise that obviously that you have to execute with a bit of caution, and to make sure that as you come out of the corner, not to just simply throw your horse forward in a medium canter, to make sure that your counter canter is nicely balanced, and then on the long side always a question of easing the hand forward a tiny bit and encouraging the horse to stretch in the frame towards the bridle, and then doing medium canter. Having done this a couple of times, I'm very fortunate in the fact that I have mirrors in my indoor school, but hopefully we all have instruction. But I check then for myself in the mirror as I ride towards a couple of center lines to make sure that my horse is absolutely straight. Most important of all, am I sitting straight? Am I absolutely in balance with the horse? And as you'll see there were a couple of strides at the beginning where his quarters were swinging a little bit, so I then repeat. First of all, I'll ask him to move on, and then as I turn on to the center line, rider check, position check, am I straight? Eyes firmly on where I want to go, and 100% focused straightness. Am I straight? Am I balanced in the saddle? Is my horse straight? Without a straight rider, you cannot have a straight horse. So, that concludes that part, and hopefully that gives you a few hints on how to make sure that your horse is absolutely straight. But of course, always remember, it starts with the rider.